Some events that we have planned to kind of fulfill that. We're looking at an early August 13th and 14th, a friendly kickoff. We have early agreements already from many Dallas teams, which is exceptional to get Dallas up here, and then some nearby cities like Wichita, St. Louis, Norman, Springfield, Little Rock, Fort Smith, Northwest Arkansas, and Memphis have all said they were interested in bringing juniors teams down early in that weekend. So that kicks us off with already a fresh base of games and opponents as opposed to just ourselves. I'm also going to walk you through how we have a verbal agreement with Norman right now to have a home and home series. One weekend we will host them coming across, and likely a couple other nearby markets. Additionally, Norman will then host us and a couple nearby markets over to their place. So one little bit of travel there, but mostly we're trying to host things here for convenience. Again, there is the chance to reach out to both Broken Arrow and Metro Tulsa capable rec teams, even if it's playing older or something, to play with us. And we might, on occasion, invite some of the other club ODL teams just to get a taste of our new league and our program to see if they might be interested in something like this in the future. Going more specifically into our events, the August friendly details again. There you see us as the host of this, and this is currently pegged for August 13th and 14th. The clubs that we have reached out to and have handshake and verbal agreements, and we're just now going through the scheduling process. We've secured the fields at both parks. Now, like I say, we're just trying to go through the registration to get these teams here because it's such a benefit, as you can understand. It's not going to be a major tournament cost for these teams. It's really just to get them here. We get to avoid travel on this particular thing. We get great opponents. So, again, you see the markets we've reached out to. We're using Dallas as the draw for other people to want to come to Tulsa centrally and participate in this. Going now specifically to the sort of home and home series we have with Norman. On August 27th, Tulsa would host Norman and a couple other markets nearby. Norman would come here with their teams, that's Celtic and Fury. We would reach across to a couple nearby markets because it would be a one-day only thing on Saturday the 27th. So we've looked at Springfield, Northwest Arkansas, Wichita, perhaps a couple of the locals as we see fit. The return visit, where Norman hosts, would be sometime later in the fall, probably October and November, I would suspect. They're thinking on their date still. We would travel on that one, again, just for a single day. And because they're more centrally located, we're picking out a couple different markets like Wichita or Dallas, maybe South Lakes, Moore, Yukon, something like that, to come into there and freshen up the opponents as well. So again, I want to go through a little bit the whole notion of pools, teams, and how this works. I really want to encourage everybody to please not get too preoccupied at this age, 7, 8, 9, and 10, with first team, second team, third team. We don't necessarily see them like that, although we do need to group players by ability. There are huge training efficiencies for the players and for the coaches. Whenever you get the players of like ability together, makes it so much easier to run a proper session and make sure every player is progressing. None are being held back, none are being overstimulated. It just makes it so much easier. So there is a necessity of grouping. However, we encourage all the pools to still maintain their connection to each other, still continue to train on and off as a pool while still giving some attention to their individual groups so that they also progress a little bit as a team. Please look at these things now as assignments, training assignments as opposed to selections. There's a long time, which we realize from now until competitive days or tryouts, when any kind of serious selections or identifications need to be made. So right now, be in an excellent group, enjoy some of our great coaches, and just get the most out of the training that you can. We have the best for every player in mind, I can assure you. In terms of mobility, we do like to move players, sometimes in just a random fashion to keep the pool sort of connected. Other times it may be a true decision about players' ability and whether they might perform or develop better with either a move up, if you will, or perhaps a move sideways or down, if you want to see it that way. That kind of mobility can be talked about, certainly with your coaches, and I think you all know the right way to do that in a respectful, aside type of a way where you've made an appointment. But it is at the coach's discretion. We need coaches to be fully involved in that. It's really not just sort of a come and go as you please type thing. The coaches need to coordinate those things. And again, I just want to stress again how important it is to have that communication and the purpose of that it is in the end about not creating teams that will win things, because we're not really measuring that, but it's about where can we put players to make sure that they are progressing. And sometimes that even means a different age, perhaps. But again, I just want to stress it's so important that we all visit about things that you may like to see. We will certainly come to you if we have ideas in mind to move players as well. I want to talk a little bit about value and cost in this program. For me, the value is certainly coaching, although I will say nowadays it's not impossible at all to get good coaches in recreational. Typically, what's a challenge to a good coach who has a recreational group, though, is that the other players in the group may be a very scattered, random ability. You certainly have the challenges in recreational of the competitive league, how strong it is, and how much you're really going to be able to get challenging games. We see that all the time. I'm sure many of you experience that. So certainly we feel great about our coaches. We are not at all making a blanket statement that there are not recreational quality coaches. Many times we get our junior coaches from them, and happy to do so. What you do gain doing this is certainly a more competitive environment, not only in the games but also in the training, day in and day out. You're not typically slowed down by recreational players. You're more in a common environment with players and families that are having a little more ambition and certainly want to be a little more challenged. And the huge thing for me is the game fields and the practice complex superiority that we're going to have this year. Gaining Metro Tulsa Soccer and Broken Arrow Soccer Club complexes alone are phenomenal. When you add in the training complex that you're all going to be finding out more about, a centralized place for not only us but the competitives to be at, it's going to make it so convenient for you, for one thing, so great for mobility and sharing of coaches and trainers on site amongst teams and goalkeeper trainers and things. There's just so much value to being able to do things centrally as a club that we're about to gain. I know you've probably looked at our website for costs, which we will review in a little bit. Basically it's $195 for the year. It's not a lot more than what you would pay if you signed up twice individually for recreational, to be honest. So that $195 does cover a full year. It does cover all the basically your game fields for both seasons, for fall and spring. I believe we may still have some referee costs in there, which would be honestly marginal or minimal by the time you spread it out across the teams, especially if we're sharing referee costs between teams. It's going to be quite minimal. And then your coach dues are $60 a month, and those do run for 10 consecutive months. You're really looking at a $600 commitment that's spread out over time. And our time goes from August through May. We take June and July off. So those are things you need to look at. And there may be a nominal facility fee per person, just a one-time at the beginning of the year that will be attached to this new training complex that we'll all benefit from. And we can certainly tell you more about that as we know. So again, I want to thank you for listening in. I hope this is helpful. I'm going to put up some contacts here in a minute, including our website to register. Please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask more of your age group coaches, certainly. Or if you want to go ahead and bring it to my attention as one of your directors, I welcome that. So again, the website is on here. I hope you're seeing our great Lexus hybrid car that is tootling around. I happen to be the lucky one that gets to take that around right now, and happy to do it. We have started a Facebook page, by the way, for the car, and that is Lexi TSC. But again, go to TSCHurricane.com and look for the junior section. That's where you can get your registration. We really need to get the registrations in hopefully by end of June. There's no real hard deadline, but it helps us plan for how many coaches, how many players for the fall. So it's very important. And again, I put my contacts here. If you have any questions at all, I hope you won't hesitate. And I'm going to leave this up as we end the video. Thanks very much again.